Fried liver attack is certainly one of the weirdest opening names in chess. Do you know how it got the name? 5 chess openings, 5 stories, nobody taught you. Let's go. Ernst Grünfeld introduced his defense at a tournament in 1922 and beat the future world champion. This is the Grünfeld Defence. Black seemingly gives white the center and perhaps even a pawn or two, but gets a very dynamic play. All 4 of us in my family play it against d4. Ernst Grünfeld lost a leg in early childhood and grew up in poverty in Vienna. He discovered chess, studied it obsessively and became a grandmaster. In April 1922, he introduced his defense at Bad Pistian. His first game with it ended in a draw. Later that year, in November 1922, he used it to defeat future world champion Alekhine in Vienna. Alekhine was so struck by the idea that he started playing it himself. Bobby Fischer's game of the century, played at age 13 against Donald Byrne, was played in the Grünfeld. Kasparov used it in 4 world championship matches. If you're enjoying this, a like helps more people find it. The man behind Nimzo-Indian is Nimzovich, who faked madness to avoid military service, who stood on a table to shout at his opponent, and who wrote the most important chess book of the 20th century. The name combines 2 separate origins, Nimzo from Nimzovich and Indian from style of play. Check my King's Indian video for full details on Indian. This is the Nimzo-Indian Defence. Black pins white's knight and refuses to let the center be occupied by pawns. Aaron Nimzovich studied philosophy in Berlin and quit within the year to become a professional chess player. During the Russian Revolution of 1917, he faked madness to avoid conscription, insisting to officials that a fly was sitting on his head. He once lost the prize to Samish by a single point. He stood on a table in the tournament room and shouted, "Why must I lose to this idiot?" His doctor advised him to exercise. He responded by standing on his head in the corner of the room during games, between moves. Every opening has a story. Subscribe for a new story every Tuesday and Saturday. Nimzovich's book, My System, is still considered essential reading nearly 100 years later in chess. Petrosyan kept it under his pillow as a child. Despite being ranked 3rd in the world behind only Alekhine and Capablanca from 1927 to 1931, he never played for the World Championship. He could not secure the funding. But almost every world champion has studied his book and played his opening. Italian game and gioco piano. 2 names for the same opening. One means quiet game, the other is stating the origin. This is that game, the opening played by most beginners in chess. Gioco piano, quiet game in Italian, was named in contrast to the aggressive gambits being developed at the same time. An editorial judgment, if you want, that this opening is calm, restrained, solid. For most of the 20th century it was replaced at the top level by the Ruy Lopez. It came back when Kramnik's Berlin defense made Ruy Lopez too drawish. The Italian returned as the weapon to avoid the Berlin. The quiet game has become the dominant opening at the elite level in the 21st century, played by Carlsen, Caruana and Nakamura in major tournaments and world championship matches. One of the weirdest chess opening names comes from an Italian kitchen, and it forces the black king to walk into the middle of the board and fight for its life. This is the fried liver attack. White sacrifices a knight on f7, the black king has no choice but to take it. Fried liver name is not English. It is a translation of fegatello, an Italian cooking method where pig's liver is wrapped in a net and roasted over fire. That is what happens to the black king in this line. The first recorded game was played over 400 years ago in Italy. Paul Morphy played it at age 13 against his own father and won convincingly. White sacrifices a knight on f7, dragging the black king into the open center. The king must walk forward. There is no safe square. Despite its wild reputation, it has never been definitively refuted. It remains theoretically alive even today. A 400-year-old Italian recipe, still cooking. Frank Marshall was US chess champion for 27 years. He became famous for rescuing games from impossible positions. And he's remembered for one opening he prepared to spring as a surprise and lost it anyway. This is the Marshall attack. Black sacrifices a pawn and launches a direct attack on the white king. Frank Marshall prepared his opening in secret for years, specifically to surprise the great Cuban, Capablanca. Marshall had multiple chances to play it against Capablanca between 1910 and 1918 and chose different defenses every time. He finally unveiled it in 1918 and lost to Capablanca. Despite the loss, white players developed entire anti-Marshall systems specifically to avoid facing it. The opening that failed on debut was recognized as a respectable line. 5 opening names, 5 stories, nobody taught you. Subscribe for more from Chess Dad every Tuesday and Saturday.